should be on. All right. So welcome, Brian and Pina. So lovely to have you guys here on the old podcast today. So for everyone out there who's listening or tuning into this, Brian and Pina run Poly African Fitness in Australia, in the great city of Perth. And they help people change their lives with a big focus on tapping into their rich history and their culture. Two different cultures coming together. That's how I understand it, right? Poly-African, Polynesian, African, merging together to help people be kind to themselves and to focus on their health and fitness. Have I got that right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool. So Brian and I go back to what, quite a while ago now, to days when we were both fresh-faced into the fitness industry and helping people that way. So you've come a long way, man, and it's lovely to see you all hitched up and loving life. I was just saying before we started recording this, we were talking about the proposal on the beach, which is my first question. Is like, how did you pull that off, man? Because that proposal, if anyone sees it on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, it's insane. Tell me about that.
So I had told Pina that she'd have to wait about a year before proposing to her. And then I realized it was her birthday. And we actually got tickets to Jeremy Kennedy. And I was planning on doing it there, but then obviously the COVID thing hit and he canceled his show. So we were like, okay. And then contacted some people, got a ring, and we said, let's make this happen. And she thought it was just she didn't even actually know anything. I just blindfolded her from the house.
I literally had no idea. Like, I'm pretty good at like catching, I don't know, like not many people can surprise me, but because he had mentioned to me that he wanted, well, he was like, I won't probably, you won't know until a year's time whether I'm going to propose to you or not. I kind of had that in my mind, and I was like, okay, and if after a year he doesn't, then, all good, see ya.
And then we just made it happen as well. And a great friend of mine, Austin Grader, he was amazing. He recorded it just perfectly, and we planned it. And I couldn't have asked for a better person to catch that moment. And I'm glad she said yes, because that was the one thing we were worried about. Is if she said no, it would have been very awkward.
But it made the news, didn't it? Didn't it make some news?
It got to America, actually.
Yeah.
A TV program that's in America saw it on Instagram, and then they were like, hey, can we feature this? And it featured in their TV show. And on top of that, the lady, that Rutan, so she's the singer that sings The Vow. We sent it to her, and then she was like, oh my gosh, and she reposted it too. And then she was like, oh, I love this. And we were like, what is happening right now? And like, it got everywhere. And I was like, okay. And then
it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's cool. So I mean, look, there's probably quite a lot to cover, but given the fact that you're in the fitness industry together and you're doing what you do, I thought it would be good to just chat and talk things through. So Brian, hit us with your story, and then Pina, you can hit us with your story. Like, Brian, you got a rich history, man. Tell me about it. Where are you from? What have you done? Rugby, Ireland, South Africa, cornflakes.
Everywhere. So, born in South Africa, grew up in Botswana until I was about 8, then moved to Ireland with my family, with my mom and my sister. And mom just was looking to start fresh, just starting new life back in 2000. And grew up in Ireland, and my mom was always into fitness, and I saw this in her. I only realized it recently that I actually got into fitness because of her, because I used to love sweets, and every Halloween, like, I'd keep my sweets till Christmas, just eating them up, and then she'd sit me down and make me watch The Biggest Loser and all that. She's like, if you don't stop, you're gonna end up in that show. And I was like, what? No. And like slowly I started getting into fitness, and I just saw myself in school that I wasn't good at sitting down. I wasn't good at, so I was just like, nah, and like fitness is my thing, and got into that. And rugby, started chasing my rugby career. And yeah, with rugby, it ended up working out amazing that I ended up getting that semi-pro contract, which made me move to England and work for Virgin Active. And then from there, took a pause and went for 2 years to on a church mission. Biggest decision of my life, but the best decision of my life. Came back, and even on the mission, I was helping people with their fitness and all that, which was amazing. And I think it's just always been there, it's always just been there.
Ingrained in me.
Yeah, ingrained in me. And then then came back from my mission, chased my rugby career again, went to America for a bit, came back, went to Ireland, went back to Ireland, and then played rugby for a big league there, and then took a pause and followed this girl here to Australia.
Wicked, man. It's a whirlwind of an adventure. That's cool. And so, Pina, how do you slot into this? Because obviously your paths cross, right?
Yeah. Mine's pretty short and sweet. So basically, Brian and I, we met online last year, and it was through one of our church dating apps. And it was like after 3 weeks of talking to him, I decided to go over and meet him. I've always actually been into fitness, but never really been able to maintain my weight. Like if I was to lose weight, I could never maintain it. And so I love that we had that thing in common. And I think that really helped us, like it really brought us together. And yeah, so then he ended up, I went there, it worked out. He decided to move to Australia. And then when he got here on like the 1st, so he got here in December, and then on the 1st of January, before the 1st of January, we made a goal that we wanted to, he wanted to help me lose weight. And that's when we started to document our journey. And, I think from then, that's kind of how everything came into play, how Poly-African Fitness came into play, because we really were just documenting my journey, and he pretty much came on it with me because he was helping me. And so from there, that's when we started getting people who wanted, contacting us, who wanted to do what we were doing.
It's funny with the page though, what happened was, it was about 12 midnight, and then I was like, Pina, we need to start a page to document our journey. And she was like, I never really wanted to do a page of someone I'm dating. I'm like, let's just do it. And then she was like, no, I'm not doing it. I was like, fine, I'm doing it. And then she was like, and then I was like, we're going to call it, Poly-African, because you're Polynesian and African. And then I just put it together that night. And then the next morning, she was like, what's this? It's like, yeah, it's our page and we're doing it.
Yeah. Kind of mad because I was like, what is this? It was kind of taking me out of my comfort zone. But, at the end of the day, it really helped me kind of stay on track and have me accountable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's cool. I mean, I remember seeing it pop up. I think Brian shared it on Instagram or something like follow this page or whatever. So I've followed your journey. I've seen the stuff that you've done for yourself and also for other people. So that's really cool. That's inspiring stuff. I'm curious. I mean, obviously, so Polynesian and New Zealand and Australia is sort of quite a close area there. Your heritage, Pina, is it more Polynesian than Australian, or more Polynesian than New Zealand? Is it what's the story there?
Yeah. It's so I'm more Polynesian, so I'm Samoan. That's my heritage. Because both of my parents are Samoan, but my father moved to New Zealand, and then that's where I was born. And then right after I was born, so I was probably around, I was just a baby when we moved over to Australia. So I really identify with being Australian as well, because I, have basically grown up here my whole life.
It's as messed up as me, basically. We just with an Irish passport and Australian passport, but born elsewhere. Yeah, it's messed up.
But it's but we're still learning about our own cultures.
Yeah,
I
true.
mean, like my father, he would always speak to me in Samoan growing up. So I think that's one thing that I am grateful for, because I understand the language. I'm not very confident in speaking, but I can understand.
That was a big thing that brought us together too. That thing of we both are not so good at our cultures, and we respect each other's cultures, and we want to learn more. It wasn't a thing of put it to the back and let's be just in this life now. It was more of let's figure out more of our ancestors. Let's figure out more of those, what made who we are, and let's shine it out to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so I got a couple of questions off the back of that. The first one I'd say is, I watched a documentary series, I think it was, on obesity in New Zealand and Samoan culture. People in that part of the world, they really struggle with their weight. Is that something that is genuine? I mean, it's a documentary, it could have been made by anybody. Is that something you guys see quite a lot?
Yes, and a lot of our clients are actually Samoan.
But Polynesian
But in general, Polynesians, I think because, of our love of food, we do tend to eat a lot. We're not very educated in with what type of foods that we should be eating. And so a lot of our food is quite, like taro is something that I love and something that I grew up with, and it's like potato and it's quite starchy. And it's something that we have with all our main meals. But I think it's that thing of we kind of I grew up with don't waste your food, eat everything off your plate. And so I feel like that's something that's kind of ingrained in us as well as a Samoan person. It's kind of you need to eat all your food. And that's when we tend to overeat.
It's very interesting, Brendan, the fact that I, growing up that side in Europe and then coming here, seeing it, it's and I know you're probably looking at the documentary and saying, I don't think they're really, you know what I mean? Because you're looking at it from that side, and I would have probably looked at it the same way. But when I got here and I saw it, and I was like, oh, okay, so there is, that lack of kind of, I don't know, understanding for food, I guess, or whatnot. I don't know, because Polynesian people, they have a lot of they're strong, muscle, strong in the sense of if they hit the gym for a week, they come out like a Hulk. That kind of way. You know what I mean? They just have to touch a weight and they're just massive. But in the sense of they can eat chip and it can go the other way too. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's me.
But no, that's a big thing. It is. I think that's what made our business kind of more successful. People wanting to change that, and I think it's really, really changing here.
But I think it's just they're not educated in choosing in what foods that they should be eating.
True.
That was the main thing that we've noticed.
To be honest, that's the same with when I was on my mission in South Africa in Cape Town. That's the same with people there too. They eat anything and everything, and it weight is not a thing, or health is half the people would have diabetes, and it's not a big thing. It's not what I mean? It's not looked at, and it was kind of wow. Some of the mamas there, they'd be like, eat this, don't worry, when you go back to Europe, you'll have your salads and all those things. Yeah. I was like, that's how they see it,
But it's kind of it's a sign of respect too if you eat their food, right? True. So it's all the way to culture.
Yeah, it is that. And I think, in Botswana, I remember going home once after being in the UK for a stint, and went to play golf one day, and I bumped into a chap who I hadn't seen in a long time, and he was Setswana, he was in Botswana, and he said, "Brendan, you're very fat," and I was like, "Oh, thanks, man." He's like, "You must be very successful in England." And I was like, right, okay. Yes. I was like, yeah, no, I'm just eating cheap food. And I think from the cultural element of what food means, it's not caught up with the food culture, which has changed so much in the last 50 to 60 years, which is, food is cheaper, food is more readily available, and it's more processed and has a lot more stuff in it. And so that cultural belief tied in with the sort of dangling carrot of the industries that promote the food kind of creates this culture that doesn't even realize it's shifted into this unhealthy realm, I think. I don't know if that's how you'd see it, but I think it's fascinating.
It's like the more bigger you are, the more successful you are, and that's a big thing too in most places in South Africa. Like if you have a belly, it means, oh, this guy has money, so it's like a good thing, and it's like
But also, like, food really brings families together as well. So
you guys are a big family.
Yeah, we're very family oriented. Mm-hmm. So like, it's kind of like come and eat.
Yeah.
And then we don't really think about the food that's around us. We just kind of just eat.
That's the loving part. Like Polynesians, Brendan, oh my gosh, the most loving people ever. Like it melts my heart. Like the first Polynesian I met was my bishop back in England, but then there was one I met on my mission, and he was like the kindest, and he would give you anything and everything. His name is Nutupu Ibaha, and honestly, and then when I just met Pina and like her family, and it's just like take, it's all take, and it's just like
that's cool. I growing up, I remember I read this book about sort of I don't know if it was a tribe on an island somewhere, and they were building boats, and it was a book that I would wish I could find to read again, because it was such a cool book to read. It was like this adventure of this traveler setting across the seas in a boat, and island lifestyle, and that kind of sort of tropical feeling is really cool. So you're the first sort of Samoan I've ever really had to get to know, if that makes sense. So that's cool. So I had a question based on what you said about cultures and that. I mean, in terms of how that helps you with your clients, how that helps you with your messaging, what would you say the key points are? Because you're wearing your branded tops, aren't you? So you've got quite a cool little brand logo there, but your posts on Instagram, they kind of come across as really vibrant and positive. How do you carry that over to your clients? What kind of stuff do you talk to them about?
Would you like to?
No, you go.
Can I be honest with you? You'd think that would hit them with like facts and this and that, and literally they call and we listen, and it's literally nothing but love. And that's where it's the trust that we have, and them knowing that we literally are there for them and making them feel like it's just all about them. And we have this thing with all of our clients, and we tell them at the start that I'm going to be completely blatantly honest with them, but it's all going to be out of love.
Yeah.
And Pina has this thing where she's sweet and she's loving and she's just Pina, and I think it blends so well with Pina's experience, with everything that she's gone through there. Like most people relate to her, and then I just help them understand. And I think it's the big thing is helping them understand who they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that answers your question at all, but
I think that's like you hit it on the nail. Like we really just build like a connection with them. And I think it's that trust that we gain with them. So like, even if they were to not stick to the plan or whatever, they're actually able to tell us. And they do get a bit scared to tell us, but
we've had nothing but amazing people.
Yeah, but
it makes us look like we're these people who have thought of something new and amazing. It's not.
We haven't.
Like, it's just the connection is there, so therefore they have that thing of, I'm doing it for myself, but they're putting time on, like they're putting time in for me, so I'm gonna do the best I can for them too. So that connection is built, that they don't want to break it. They don't want to go and do something they shouldn't do. Do you know what I mean?
And then it's where like we hold them accountable, and that's what they like as well. Because I feel like a lot of them do say that they the only reason why they can get through the program is because they have people to be accountable to. That's probably one of the reasons why they have been successful.
And we have a 24-hour, 24/7 hotline. Really,
Okay.
Like literally just today, there one of our clients.
Brian's very good at getting back.
Like she just contacted us and she was like, I'm about to go shopping now, and I'm just about to get some dummies for my child, and I feel like getting chocolate in there. I don't know what to do, and she was crying, and then I just rang her. I was like, let's go shopping. And we were literally just on the phone with her, driving home from work and just going shopping with her. She got in, got out, and she was like, oh, thank you. It's like, no problem. And that's what we have, that thing of there is no rule of don't contact us at this time or that. It is just, we're family, you know?
Okay. So, I mean, I think that's answered the question perfectly, because effectively you were explaining how, you know, part of both cultures is about giving and, you know, family and that element of kindness. And I definitely think that's true in the cultures, in the respective cultures. And I think in some ways, you know, it exists everywhere, but in areas where, let's say like in the UK, for instance, family is an important thing, but there are a lot of broken homes. There are a lot of people suffering with that. But there's also that case of like, in many cultures, people don't eat together anymore. I noticed it in America. People didn't, you know, I when I first landed in the States for golf, I was in Texas, and this guy was like, oh, you're going to come over to my house. We're going to have a few beers and swim in the pool and stuff. And I said, yeah, cool. He said, yeah, my parents will have some dinner at mine as well. And, you know, coming from Botswana, I was thinking, oh, cool. We're going to like sit around the table with his parents and have some food. And we got to his house and there was no one there. It was just empty. And he was like, oh, my sister's out and my mom and dad are out for dinner. And I was like, oh, I thought we were having dinner together. And he's like, no, we're going to, and he grabbed some food out the freezer, some like, I don't know what it was, and just put them in the oven or whatever. And then we sat by the pool and ate this like takeaway food. And I was just thinking, what do you mean? I'm so confused. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then having come to the UK and seeing how kids tend to eat earlier than the parents here. If they're quite a young age, they tend to like eat early and then the parents eat later. And so I think like that disconnect happens, and I don't know why it happens. It's not something I ever experienced growing up. It was always sort of time around the table was time for family and stuff. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, it sounds to me like you guys have taken that ethos of the unit of togetherness and put it into a fitness realm where you're helping people through, you know, the choices on that table as a family.
Exactly. And that's the big thing there. We try to, if you're going to sign up, let's figure out who's in your home and let's get them to support you too, you know, and
also they kind of become a part of our family.
We're
kind of like, okay guys, you know that you're stuck with us now.
It's a thing of like, it's love what you said. It's a sense of, and you don't want to take that away from them. You don't want to say, your whole family is eating KFC, but you go to a corner and eat your salad. You know what I mean? And it shouldn't be like that. It should be like we're all togetherness. And there have been some clients where they've found out difficult in the sense of they want to be with their family, they want to eat together and all that. But we're hoping that through their example, that brings that family through and be like, okay, let's all do this. Let's all change our lives. And more often it has happened, you know, where a family has decided to be healthier, you know, have decided to go for walks and all that kind of thing. And usually we have couples. And when we have couples, we tell them, okay, you have your exercise in the morning, but then in the evening, you have your walk together. And we love that because that's when they actually start to talk and they start to, you know, drown everything else out and be there for themselves. And no joke, at the end of each program, it's never really about the weight loss, and it's always about I learned so much about myself and what I can do and what I can't. And they learn about each other, and it's just, you know, that's you can't put that on Instagram. Do you know what I mean?
That's the
no, and and that's powerful, and that's the reason why I wanted to ask you guys loads of questions today, because I think you know it's very easy to sit back, and I had it, especially coming into lockdown. You know, I sat back and I think I took about 3 weeks to just sort of watch what people were doing. You know, what were other trainers doing? I already had a process to help people online, but what was it that everyone else was doing? Could I learn something from them, or could I take something and go, you know what, this is going to work for me? Because everyone's got their own solution, right? And I think that's powerful to hear, because not only are you changing the dynamic of a family and having an impact that's far greater than just one person, you're impacting several people all at once. But you're able to talk about it in a platform that, like you say, it doesn't get translated on Instagram. You know, Instagram is not that kind of place, and social media isn't that kind of place. It's quickly digestible information for people.
Before and after, okay, good, they did good. You know, not like let's see, you know, what's just what they went through.
And so I mean, I think in that sense, it's really nice to hear, because it is easy to sit back as another coach and go, oh, you know, they're having so much great success, you know, and then you can kind of start to think, well, what are they doing? What is it that I'm not doing? What, you know, you become critical of a situation. And actually, in all fairness, you've kept it simple and you've just focused on your core beliefs. And that is what's helping you work through it. I think that's awesome. I think that's really cool.
It's beautiful how you said it there, you know, because that's beautiful.
It's really our values. It's what we stand for, and that's what we kind of bring out to our clients.
Now, don't get me wrong, like we've seen a few people on Instagram that would probably kind of socially kind of attack us, you know, kind of like you might have some trainers that will do A, B, and C, and then we know it's directed at us, and we're like, you know, we kind of know what we're doing in our own circle, you know, and we don't really worry about everyone else. We don't worry. This is us. We know what we're doing. We know what families are going through, and we know them, you know what I mean? And we know what, like, I can't even tell you how many people that have been successful that have not posted. You know what I mean?
People that haven't been successful.
We have 5 people out of all there's 5 people that didn't finish the program that we put out there, and that hurts. And the part of the reason, I don't know if you're aware, and you probably didn't see one of the videos, but we decided to stop the programs and everything and just take a break because we get too attached. We get really attached, and like those 5 people, we still like, what could we have done better? When it probably wasn't even us, it's just that they weren't ready, you know. But we get really, really attached, especially I get really attached. I literally think free them, and I'm like, and that breaks us. That was what we were finding. We were finding that we were starting to split, like we were starting to push away from each other. But then the people we were serving were just doing amazing. And then we were not. Like, we'd spend the whole Saturday from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening doing checkups the whole day. We're working Monday to Friday. We got church on Sunday, but then Saturday was the whole day. So we never really got time together, you know? So we decided to kind of stop putting so much and try work on this, because we just got married. So we were trying to fix us before we fix other people. You know?
Well, you got to help yourself before you help other people. And I think
and people thought we were perfect. And I don't know if you've seen the recent stuff we've been posting. It's just been showing that, hey, we are far from perfect. So we got to show you. So it's like, so you don't think that we're doing amazing, you know, on our side.
But I think that's just being real. And I think, you know, it's not to, I've got clients in my head all the time who I just made no progress with, you know, who I've had, like, you know, over the time I've worked with people, they just play on my mind. And you know, the worst thing is, like, I might see them out and about, you know, maybe I'm driving my car and I see them walking on the street and I'm like, and then I think about it. I'm like, damn, what could I have done better? How could I have helped them more? What did I miss? And Brian, you came to VA Live, didn't you, when they did that thing? And the one thing that stuck with me out of that, so for everyone listening, is like, VA Live was a fitness convention, but just for Virgin Active in the UK. And it basically, they put on a talk show of hosts. They hosted several people to talk, successful people in fitness and health. And the one guy who made the impact, Martin Rooney, I don't know if you remember Martin Rooney. He does training for warriors, I think is his brand in America. And he said, if a client doesn't succeed, whose fault is that? And he was like, it's your fault. And he shouted to the crowd. And I was like, whoa, man. It's like, chill out, dude. But ever since then, I think to myself, damn it, you know, it's my fault. It's my fault. I should have done more. So this perfectly makes sense. Like, you know, as a person who helps people change, and as a couple that helps people change, you're giving away energy, right? You're giving away yourself, you're giving away your time, you're giving away your energy. And so energy is a resource that we need to manage. And then you've got church that I want to ask you about as well, which is another case in point. Like, you guys, there are churches that aren't that way, and there are churches that are, but there are a lot of churches that just take from the people and don't give back, which I'm sure you've seen, Brian, in South Africa as well. You know, like the guy rolls up in a fancy jet helicopter and beamer, and he's like, yeah, pay and we'll get the rains to come, you know. And it's like so it's not that I'm talking about. It's the culture of the church that gives, the church that serves people. So it makes sense that you guys need to take some time and recoup and, you know, have enough energy to give people. So speaking of church and the work you guys do, so, you know, you had time, Brian, to go and serve people for 2 years, was it?
Yeah. And
that's a long time to take out of your life, which no one could understand when you were working at Virgin. I got it. I understood why you were doing it. And people just couldn't get it. They were like, well, why are you doing this? You set yourself up. You've got a semi-professional rugby career. You've got a good client base. You're getting, you know, a good network of people, and you're going to throw that away for something that they don't understand. What do you say? Like, what would you say to someone like that nowadays? What's the, you know, I know where you're at right now is like, look at me, you know, I'm happy, I'm loving life, and that speaks for itself. But would you just shower them with love? I get the feeling you would.
You know, it's a touchy subject. I'm getting emotional as you just talk about it, because like no words can ever describe those 2 years, like of you just giving and giving to people your knowledge, your understanding, your
Basically, your heart.
your heart. You literally give them your heart. You give for 2 years. You don't get paid. You don't get nothing. You just go out there and you give your heart. You get these people who come from all different countries, from Brazil, from Guatemala, from South Africa, from Ireland, everywhere that they come to this. You get called wherever, and the people I had surrounding me, you learn so much, and you're there to give. But it's funny how you're the one that actually ends up coming out with, you're the one that receives everything, and you're the one that, like, you go to a home and they give you the last meal, and you're just like, it just helps you understand the world, you know what I mean? And
so, like, people that don't have a lot. Sorry, I don't really know
no
what you've gone through, but like, yeah.
It's that thing when, like, I can never really fully explain it, but on the outside, my family were going crazy. They were like, "What are you doing?" Because they're not members of the church I go to, and they're like, "What are you doing? Dropping everything? You've worked so hard to be where you are." But I had this thing in my head is I'll lose all these things now. Yes, because for 2 years I could only train for like 30 minutes each morning. I couldn't go into a gym. And, like, bear in mind, before that I was training 3 times a day and whatnot. But then I had to be restricted to just 30 minutes. Couldn't talk to my family for the whole week until on Monday, where I could just email them. I can ring them on Christmas Day and Mother's Day. And every time I'm just thinking about these people, and it does take a lot out of you, but you get back so much.
So much more.
So much more. And it was worth it. I won't lie to you, when I was on the way on the plane, I was like, wait, what am I doing? But then, but when I saw myself changing and I saw my family seeing that, it was worth it. It was worth the money. It was worth everything. It was worth
the belly.
Yeah, the belly. I gained about, I don't know how much weight. I was like, oh, it's just.
I remember your emails. So you'd send us an update, and every now and then there was an attachment of you in a picture. And I remember one of you pushing a guy in a wheelchair up a hill, I think. And I was like, and I took a picture of it. I took a screenshot and I sent it to Gaz, who Gaz used to be our manager at Virgin. And I was like, dude, Brian's fat. But it's understandable. I mean, so, going back to that, I mean, Brian, so explain to people, because it's very difficult to explain to people where you were and how that lifestyle is. You were based in Cape Town for most of the mission, right?
Cape Town. So what happens is you go to Cape Town, but if you know that side of the world, Cape Town, there's Eastern Cape, there's like the how can I say, the townships and all that, and then
Cape
you have
Flats.
Cape Flats and all these places, and you can only work hard to just that place. So for 2 years, you move around there. There's about 100 different missionaries from different countries. Guys young, like 19 years of age, 18, 20, and they all go out and live their lives. And they all save up money to do this one day, because in the church, it's like that thing of, once you've served a mission, I don't know, you just know yourself a bit more, the things that you want, you see for life for what it is. So you have someone from the States coming from a big mountain going to some Western, going to, whatever country that's not like a third world country, and seeing how people live there, and you kind of, don't think you're better than people, you know what I mean?
I think most of them are humbled by, what they live and what they see, and it really
you go out there as a kid and you come back as a man, because you humble yourself. You're like, oh snap, everything I have is actually a blessing.
And just grateful, yeah.
Yeah, you end up being grateful for what you have. So I was actually grateful for the life I had in England, but I didn't see that when I was in England. I literally had money to do whatever, but I just, you know what I mean? I always thought that I didn't have enough, you know, that kind of way. You know, where we were working like Virgin, you have like the Birmingham soccer team coming in the Lamborghinis and all these big cars and all that, and you're like, oh, I don't have that enough. I don't have enough. I gotta get to that, you know. But then I was like, oh snap, you know. And I got there, I was like, I have, you know, a lot, you know.
Yeah, it's a scary sort of modern day conundrum that we face, isn't it? Because it's very easy if you've never grown up in if I hadn't grown up in Botswana, Zimbabwe, you know, my school in Zimbabwe, we used to go every term to a school that we were partnered with, and it was a government school. So, you know, we're private school students, we're going to a government school, and you know, there were things that struck me there. Like we would go with food, we would go with clothes, we would go with like a toy box for them. So that because these kids would get on a bus, they had no money, they had no food, and they would go to a school that the government had placed teachers in, and they would have to just show up. You know, there was no accountability from their side. And we were all there. And I remember my teacher saying, you guys you need to work harder to work on your handwriting. And we were like, oh yeah, well, you know, it's such a simple thing, we don't really need to care. And then we were taken to the school, and these kids, you know, we're talking like in the depths of a poverty-stricken area in Harare. These kids are writing better English and speaking better English than we were. And you're like, what? How is this possible? And you just take for granted what you've got. And I think that's powerful. And what it always struck me, and it was like, I learned a lot from that, because ever since knowing that actually, you know, there were kids with less than me who were doing better than me in terms of like a school activity is powerful. And, you know, we used to play cricket against the schools, like government schools and stuff. And you had these fiercely talented kids that just, you know, they had to grow up in a very tough time and do the best with what they got. So, you know, when I wrote blog posts back in 2014 and stuff, and I was writing posts, I wrote about you, Brian, and your story of cornflakes. Have you told Pina about cornflakes?
I don't think
No.
I have, have I?
No, I'm not.
So tell everyone, because I mean, you know, like the places you're serving, I get it. It's worse than that situation in a way, that you're about to tell us about. But, you know, for people out there listening, just go and Google Cape Flats or townships in South Africa and go and see what people are living like. But Brian, tell us about cornflakes.
Yeah, man. So growing up, obviously my family, we didn't have much at all. And every time we would go shopping with my mom, I'd ask for cornflakes, and there was never enough money for cornflakes. And every time I was like, cornflakes, there was never enough money every time for cornflakes. And man, it broke my heart every time. And then we ended up going to Ireland, and the place we were living in, there was like cornflakes for days. And I literally breakfast, lunch, dinner, mid-morning, mid-afternoon, I ate everything. It was just cornflakes. And
there was an abundance of cornflakes.
But in the sense of that, you know, what humbles me now, Brendan, to be honest with you, and Pina's always asking, like, why do you want to do so much and all these things? And as much as I don't go back to that specific moment, I just go back to moments that are similar to that, where I remember wanting these things and couldn't have them. And now I'm open to having them and wants to continue to push and push and push. And that's what drives me, you know. that thing. And when I was in South Africa, I just looked, and every time I was like, I could be that kid that's just walking past me right now. If my mom didn't decide to just drop everything and just take a chance and leave, I could be just walking past the street right there. And I feel like also, just to add, going to South Africa and serving there, I think gave me the confidence to have an African symbol in our poly-African, because I looked at myself as Irish. I wanted to be Irish. I didn't want to be that African kid. I wanted to be, Irish so much. And when I went there, I found myself. I was like, I'm not Irish, bro. Like, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, I've lived there and I'm grateful for everything that Ireland has done for me and my family, but deep down in my heart, I'm South African, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And when coming back and meeting Pina, and I was like, I want our culture to make us different. I want us to be different, to use the difference we have, to bring other people out who might act like they're someone else when they're really, deep down in their hearts, they're, who they are. But yeah, anyway, sorry, the conflicts. Yeah, so that's in that. Yeah, but in that, I think it always brings me back to, and oh man, that was the first time I shared it with any mom. Turned around to me, is like, oh my gosh, you remembered that. And I was like, yeah, it stuck at me, like, that thing of kids. I was like a kid, but I just remembered always wanting conflicts.
That's cool. And so, like, I'm going to ask you another question in a sec, but Pina, the church work that you guys do, is it similar to what Brian's just described there in your communities, or is it just is it kind of toned down a bit in terms of how much you guys give? What would you say?
Do you mean like so church here in Australia?
Yeah. So when you guys go on a Sunday, are you going out into communities on a Sunday as well?
Right. No. So what Brian did, so that's something that so they literally dedicate their lives for those 2 years to go out and serve. For us, so it's so they call it a mission, but being here together, we don't have to do that, because your life is quite regimented. Like, you have to do things at a specific time. And is that what you would say? Like,
so like a mission, you can go like from 18 years old to 27 or something like that, because the aim is to come back and build a family and start to be self-reliant and start your own thing up, like, and just go out to the communities and use what you learned in those 2 years. Now go out and not just do it for the 2 years and come back and be a complete different person. Use everything you did and come back and, share with everyone in a different way.
In a different way. That's what it is. Yeah. It's not as intense. I feel like it's not as intense.
Yeah.
But we just, so on a Sunday, we'll just go to church for like an hour.
Yeah.
Because at the moment it's just an hour because of COVID. And meet with everyone, and then we come home.
For those 2 years, it was just be kind. It was not about, because we met so many people from so many different religions, and we'd sit down with them and we'd just talk to them. But some of them would like, your church is wrong and da da da. It's like, literally, we're not sitting here to complain, like, to shout about churches. We would sit there and be like, let's find a way where we can be kind. Let's go out and love and care and do things, you know what I mean? And just be kind. And that's what we're taught in the church, is to just go out and, love others.
Cool. And I think that message is taken from family, from culture, from everything that you guys talk about into the church, and then from there it's been taken into your business. So I think that's cool. I think that's really powerful. And so if you had someone in front of you today who was a trainer coming up in the industry, just started, what would you guys say to them? What would be your number one bit of advice?
Come on, trainer. What would be your number one advice?
I'd say love your clients. Don't just treat them as don't treat them up for money. Literally look to make a difference in their lives. Don't just sign them up, get the money, get the results, and then see you later.
Leave. Cool.
So really like listen to them.
Listen to them.
Yeah, I think.
Actually, leave what I said. Exactly what Pina said.
Yeah.
Listen, from that you will love them. You know what I mean? Because you will listen. I think as trainers, we probably don't listen because we have this picture of what we want for the people, but they might not want to get skinny. They just want they want someone to listen. Like I remember having someone in Virgin Active. She I remember the lady, she literally, I don't think she had her body was amazing. She was fit. She was all that. She just wanted to talk, for an hour. And I was like, okay, and she had signed up to talk and I was like, let's do it. And, but if I didn't catch that on, I wouldn't have been listening to her, but she just needed a listening ear. You know what I mean?
I think listening to them and then genuinely caring about what they want to achieve and their goals.
Yeah. I think that's like, I mean, from my perspective, I try and tread a very fine line between what I want for them and what my clients want for themselves. And then somewhere between the two, we meet. And sometimes you're more on their side, which is, listening to them, hearing what they have to say. And other times it's, no, this is my time. This is my session. We're going to make you suffer a bit. We're going to work you through this,
But in saying that, it's like when I say listen to them, I don't mean like in a sense of they'll say, I'll be like, give me 10. I'm like, I can only do 5.
Yeah.
That I mean, like,
okay, I hear.
And then after the 5, I think we can do 5 more. And that's me coming in and bringing my kind of, and but at the same time, like, that pushed them just a little bit, but at the same time saying, you know what I mean?
But and then in those moments where you've got time to chat and those rest periods and you unpack, you strip back the layers to try and chat to them about, a lot of them will be, I want a 6-pack and a big bum or something. I don't know, and it's like, actually, you don't really want that. You think you want that, but that's what Instagram wants you to want. It's what you want. What you want is to feel better, to move better, to look more confident, to be more confident. So I think that's a good bit of advice there. And in terms of someone who's listening to this, who isn't a trainer, who's maybe struggling with their health a bit, what advice would you give them?
Okay, someone that's struggling with their health. Sometimes I just say, just start with going for a walk, because sometimes people just are scared of the gym, and they just need to get their body moving. And I feel like going for a walk, it not only helps you move physically and like kind of clear it, like it helps you clear your mind, it helps you with your mental state as well. So for me, I feel like when I'm outside and I'm going for a run, or just moving my body, I just feel so much better about myself. But that's where I kind of really think about, maybe like I really reflect on my goals and what I need to do for like maybe the week or the day.
Just start simply.
Just start simply. They don't need to go into a gym.
Don't like sign up to go to the gym for like 7 days and then hit those 7 days and be like, I'm gonna do 3 hours for every single day, because then the next week you're dead. And then you're like, oh, actually, I don't want this gym thing anymore. Be kind.
But also to be consistent. Like, do something consistently for a while and know that you won't get results straight away, and to be patient with yourself. Because I think for me, when I first started out, I just like, everything, we all get stuff very quickly and it's instant gratification. You get fast food. If you go on like a shake diet, you get fast results, but it's not about that. It's about changing your life and doing something each day to move towards that ultimate goal. And just be patient with yourself, I think.
Be kind to yourself, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Yeah, it's good advice. And I think that is literally where I started with my journey. You know, I was like, I can't run. I can't do a push-up. You know, I was pretty big and suffering. And I just was like, you know what? I can walk. If I can walk, then, and if I can go round the block and get back and feel okay, then I've won for the day, you know. And it's like winning that daily battle. So no, I think that's powerful stuff. So
down the corner, like you do you.
Yeah, I think that's cool. That's awesome. So Brian, I just bought your book, which you've published. So this is I like to think of you as a man full of surprises, because every time I think the playing field is leveled, you just, whoop, there we go. So for anyone listening, Brian, you know, tell us a bit about this, because I've ordered it, but I haven't received the book yet. So obviously I wanted to have a read of it if possible before today, but I think it's just going to take time anyway. So tell me about it, man.
Yeah, so for the last year, I've been writing a book, poetry / just me in general, because I suffer from depression, anxiety, and I am dyslexic too, colorblind. I don't know what else to add on the list.
Like I said, a man full of surprises, right?
Yeah. But I kept this to my heart, and I kept it on the low down. And when you say that, I like to do things quietly, and then when I know it's about to be done, and when it's done, to share. Then I don't like to talk about it and then do it. I just love to just do it, you know. And with this book, it was really, really a big thing, and something I really wanted to achieve for myself. And it was mostly for my mom too, because she has an amazing story, and she's always wanted to write a book. So I was like, if I can show her I can write a book, then surely she'll start, you know. But I was doing it for her, but then it ended up being for me too, you know what I mean? And it was the greatest, it's been one of the greatest achievements that I've done, because it's something. Growing up, I wasn't the smartest kid. I wasn't, you know, the knowledge kid, and like people would mock and all those things, and teachers, you know, I couldn't read and all that. So yeah, teachers would, you know, all that anyway. But I was just like, I'd love to write something, and just to prove to myself that I'm not dumb, that I'm not stupid, that I have a story to tell. And I keep a journal anyway. And I started off with venting, and then from venting, I went to trying to make the words rhyme. And then from that, I started opening up about my depression. I only recently realized that I have depression, like a year ago. I always just thought everyone felt the same way I felt, until I realized, oh snap, I actually have something wrong with me. And I saw that because when I started dating Pina, I was lashing out at, you know, when I say lashing out, not shouting, but like I'd like block myself out, like I wouldn't want to talk by myself, or I wouldn't want to like touch or anything. And I realized I needed to sort this out, and went for therapy for the first time ever in my life. And, you know, now I take pills like antidepressants and all that. And so many people are against it, and I was against it. Pino was fully against it, but we wanted to see if it was going to help, and it helped. And then I had to go up anyway. So the book is about basically just letting you know what it's like in the head of someone that suffers through all those things. And, you know, there's a poem in there called Painkiller, and it's really, really, it's very, very deep. And it just basically a tough time, one of the tough times in my life. And those poems that are there, they're the soft ones. Those, but if this goes well, it's actually ended up being number 4 in the whole of Australia.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So that was like a surprising. It started off with 20, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then like overnight, it went to 4, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Cool. And trying to get it to #1 now, but yeah, no, it's been nice.
I'll definitely have it and read it, and then I'll have a shelf here full of books that when my clients come, I let them use the book and they go away and read it, and then they can put it back and stuff. So so I'll put it on the shelf next to Gaz's book, which he wrote, whether you've read that yet, but and I'll put it there and people can have a read of it. But I think that's really cool, and I think it's powerful, and I think on what you're saying there is like it is an interesting thing that people who give a lot tend to have a lot of issues that they're trying to sort out for themselves as well, which is not to say anything bad about anybody. It's just, you know, you look at some of the most influential people in the world who've been in comedy or who've made time for others to give them something that makes their life better. You know, Robin Williams is one that jumps to mind, right? Who had real battles with depression. So it's no surprise, but it's surprising, if that makes sense.
Many people have contacted me saying, I didn't know you something. I didn't know. And I'm like, yeah, not no one has ever known. And even my family, you know, they were like, I didn't know, because, you know, you see the other side of people. And yeah, it's, you know, writing this book too, Brendan, it was a sense of you lack nothing. I don't know if that makes sense, in a sense that don't tell yourself you can only do one thing. Like for a long time, I told myself I was just a rugby player. That's all I can do. But then realize I can train people, or I can write a book, or I can, you know, you can do whatever you want to do. Like, you know, and I don't want to say, anyway, like you can literally do what you want to do and just go for it. And writing this book is just giving people permission to chase whatever they want to chase, you know, to just try it. Like, you know, just, go for it.
No, and I think that's powerful because of the fact that, you know, you don't have to hang your hat on one particular thing and say, right, that's what I'm good at. You know, I do all this geeky stuff. I've got a little space here where I train people. I know various things about things that I never thought I would know about. And it's all come because I've had to figure out a way to make my life work. Having come from a situation where, you know, we lost a lot of stuff in Zimbabwe, we lost a lot of money, and, you know, we all had to start over. And then I had to move here and start over, and move to America, start over. And then I had to start over again. And it's like, man, you know, you end up learning all these things in your experiences, and then
it's push you, right? It's push you to, like, all the things I've done, it's because of my mom. My mom decided to change her life, so why can't I do the same? Why can't you? You know what I mean?
And I think, Pina, with you, it's like your culture and your family and your heritage. You know, you guys have got a battle, which we talked about on the health side of things, but there's no reason why you can't do that. There's no reason why you can't change that and influence those people. It's part of the journey. So guys, I mean, I feel like we could probably talk for ages, but I'm also mindful it's quite late there. It was getting later. I like to think of every person I've spoken to so far in interviews. I like to say, like, you know, I want to have you back on and chat again. The series is going to run in a 10-part series to see how people respond to it. It's particularly trainers who want to hear more about other trainers, and people who want to learn about fitness, and in a way that's not as glamorized as some of the stuff that's out there in the world. So really, really appreciate you guys for your time. Have you got any questions for me? Because I got asked this the other day, like, I didn't ask you any questions. And I was like, no?
I'm just trying to think.
There's no problem. If you don't have any questions, that's fine.
I feel like you doing this, Brendan, is honestly for you finding ways to push the level, to try new things and all that. I honestly respect that so much. And I don't know if you remember, we after we each had like a session in Virgin Active, would sit there in the canteen or whatnot, and you'd be like, I want to start something, I want to start my business, and I'm gonna start it soon. And I'm like, yeah, man, do it. Like, involve me. I want to be part of it. Let's do it. Let's start it. Let's go for it. And I remember you already had blogs and all that, and you already had the logo and everything. And I used to be like, oh my gosh, this guy is actually gonna do it. And I remember, I don't know if you remember, but I used to ask you like, so what do you do? Like, what? How are you like starting your business? How did you create that? Because I'm like, I want to do all these things too. And I feel like you've always wanted to do all this, and I feel like you're always pushing yourself, and you literally push other people without you knowing. Because if you notice, you are one of the first people we added in our page when we started it, because we were looking at you and we were wanting to be you. We were wanting to not copy you, but just see how you're going so well, and you were giving us permission to be like, yeah, you can start something. And every time you were building that where you are right now, when you had the paint and you're starting, we were watching you. We were, and we might, but it's just a thing of letting you know that, people do watch you and watch the things you do, everyone. And you might think one day of just giving up or whatnot, but literally, we just thank you for literally giving us permission to do what we have done for people, because so many people have touched us that don't even know, you know what I mean? And just to let you know,
just
we're
like
watching
through their
you.
example,
Through
yeah.
their example,
Also,
yeah.
I love like your colors. Like it's
Thanks. Yeah.
oh, I love the colors. I love your logo.
No, but we respect that. It's not really a question. But
Yeah, I was like, that's not a question.
No, it's not a question, but it's just it's a thank
No,
you
no.
for doing what you do. And
I think using your platform and what you're doing right now, I think this is an amazing way.
we
Like
respect
you're
that big time.
serving us
Yeah.
and serving others, like in the industry.
That's it's kind of taken the words out of my mouth. I don't really know what to say to that, but thank you. Yeah, if I have to say anything to sort of counter that, it's just like like I said before, when we were just before we started recording, I was like, the world's huge. The world's a big place. There are millions of people out there struggling, and who's to say that we need to be any more selfish than the next person to only generate our little business that only does our little thing, and screw everyone else. I'm focusing on this cool group of people. It's like, well, no, I mean, there's probably millions of things that I know that maybe you don't, and vice versa. You'll have so many, today, just that whole family ethos and love and kindness message that you guys have got. It's like, well, man, how much of that am I doing? Is that going to level me up now? Because, I share facts with people. I try and educate people. Am I missing something there? Could I be doing more of that? It's forcing me to come, right, okay, level up. Let's bring everyone up so that we can make the world a better place. So I really appreciate it, guys. I'm
listening to this, go get your book. It's called
Yes,
I'm Okay, and it's on Amazon. And also, if you ever want to see what we're doing with our page, just jump on to Poly African Fitness on Instagram. We're just on Instagram now, and you'll see me and Pina's I don't know, life.
I was like, I don't know.
We put our life on there.
but
And
yeah,
I'll just let you know as it is. And thank you for having us, Brendan. It means a lot.
no, I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.